Today we want to talk about matters public health in farming. We have heard about the campaigns that have been running on safe use of chemicals. We have heard about all the alternative being organic. We want to find out, starting today, in partnership with MACAP under UNID or United Nations Industrial Development Authority, we want to find out how can we be able to be safe while using chemicals, while using pesticides and fungicides in our farms. We know that within the country, in our country, Kenya, registration of pesticide is risk-based. Pesticide safety is basically, and most of the time, it is depending on how they are used. Excessive and misuse of chemicals and pesticides results in contamination of surrounding soils, surrounding water sources, causing loss of biodiversity. Something interestingly also, it destroys the beneficial insect population, and more importantly, it harms we as human beings. From today, we want to start discussing about the safe use of pesticides. Our hashtag is SOMALabel. Again, this is in partnership with friendly organizations, I might say, organizations that are friendly and companies that are friendly to human health, human success, and farming success. So we want to discuss this in detail, starting from what is safe use of pesticide. In fact, what are pesticides? Is growing organic food the alternative to using pesticide? We've had so many people saying that. We've heard about people even starting their own kitchen gardens to be able to combat this. In studio today with me, I am joined by two experts. One of them is an expert, our in-house expert. She's also a very passionate agricultural blogger. Follow her on Misaro. And then the other one is somebody who has seen my journey, starting with farming, and I would like to invite them. Karibuni sana. Yes. Now, as a way of introduction, probably you can start. Misaro, acha tukaribisha mgeni kwanza. Yes. Evans, you can tell us who you are, how you've seen this journey, not my journey today. But yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Evans Kamau. I am currently working with a vegetable company called Vetagro East Africa Limited. We deal with vegetable seeds. And I am grateful to be here today to share with farmers, to share with everybody about this journey we are talking about. And I have been in the agriculture sector for quite a number of years. I have worked with farmers all over my life from when I left school. I have more than 10 years working with farmers directly and indirectly, and I am glad to talk to farmers today and share one or two things that I've garnered over the years. Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Misaro.
Yeah, my name is Misaro Cheya. I'm an horticulturist by profession, and I work here as a farmers media. You will catch up with me every morning. We have a morning show where we connect and learn about agriculture. And today we're discussing about safe use of pesticides. So, karibuni sana.
Yes, so let us know where you're watching us from. If you've not subscribed to our channel, remember to subscribe to our channel and click on the notification, because we want you as farmers to be successful. Our aim is for you and all of us together to connect, learn, and grow together. So as we dig deeper, let us know, what do you think safe use of chemicals or safe use of pesticide, to be precise, does it mean? I've had, yesterday I talked with some farmers and they told me that they want to make their own manure liquid, and so we want to hear from the experts themselves in, is this possible? Evans, is it possible to grow crops organically in Africa?
That's a big question.
Yes.
And the answer is yes and no.
Hey.
With the right information, yes, it is possible. But over the years...
Can you do it commercially?
Once again, I'll say yes and no. But with the right information, yes, it is possible. Over the years, Kenya, as a country, I would say yes, we are young. We are still young in farming. But I would also want to say that everything is possible, and with humans there is no limit. Having said that, I want to say that for many years farmers have been given the wrong information, that you always have to use chemicals to control pests.
Okay.
And we have run with that information, and that's why most of us, even when you go to the farmers and tell them it is possible to do it organically, the first answer will be no, it's not possible. But if from the onset we get the right information,
Yes.
it is possible to do it organically. There are a number of companies worldwide that are doing organic farming.
Okay.
A few companies in Kenya are doing it. So yes, it is possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Ms. Haro, I know you don't believe so much in pesticide.
Actually, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Good. I got
do.
you. I got you in your own space. So let us know, what do you think is the challenge farmers face when they're growing organic?
Okay.
First of all.
What I would say, I would like to first say that organic farming, farmers first, when they're doing organic farming, they're supposed to, in the first place, they're supposed to do everything possible to make sure that they don't use pesticide at the first place. But more often, the methods such as crop rotation and keeping sanitation, more often they fail. And when they fail, organic farmers are allowed to use pesticides. What people don't know, most of us think that organic farmers just grow their crops without using any pest. Yeah.
Okay.
So now that is the misinformation that is outside there. Organic farmers are allowed to use pesticides,
Okay.
but they're supposed to first make sure that they use the other methods such as cultural and biological and all that. But
Okay.
when they fail,
Yes.
they have to use them and use them correctly.
So the issue here is safe use of pesticides, whether you're doing organic or not.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So now let us get down to business. What are pesticides? Because there are things that people talk about, chemicals. I hear some people complain about there are some vegetables being grown along the sewer lines. Some people talk about people have just sprayed a lot. The things like traceability. All this is a lot of jargon. So let us break down and start from what are pesticides first. Does it comprise both fungicides, foliar fertilizers, and all that, or these are different? So Evans, probably you let us know what are these pesticides?
Thank you very much. I would like to simplify it and say that pesticides are substances that are used to control pests. I use the word substances,
Okay.
and that's a broad word. It may mean so many things,
Yes.
including ash. It also includes chemicals. So if you bring all those things together, it takes you to what we are talking about, a pesticide.
Okay.
Now, what is a pest? A pest, it is a living organism that is able to hinder a crop from attaining its maturity. It may come and eat part of the crop. It may come and bring disease to the crop. So it is anything that hinders the right movement of a crop to attain its maturity. And having said that, there are a big range, quite a range of substances that we are talking about that are able to control pests. This includes herbicides, fungicides, insecticide, and any other item that you can use to control the pests. And as I said at the onset, we can even include the natural ways of controlling pests. Therefore, we'll need to break it down to what are we talking about when we are saying pesticides. It can be broken down into so many things, and I will want you to
break it down.
Yeah.
Okay, so very interestingly, and one of the things that I've seen coming out very strongly is the fact that this is a very open discussion, and it is not limited to only specific things, but mainly it's something that we have to start asking ourselves: what is this? What are pesticides? Yeah. And is it foliar fertilizers like the ones we have here, or is it other chemicals that we're using? But let me ask, for instance, one of the challenges that I've seen farmers face is that farmers go and buy products from the agrovets. They have been told, go and spray this. What is this thing that farmers have not been told about pesticide, especially when it comes to buying some of these things?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
There is so much in misconception about when we talk of the farmer information,
Yes.
or rather what the farmer knows and what he should know.
Yes.
And basically, first we should ask ourselves: does the farmer have all the information that is required,
Okay.
or is the farmer knowledgeable when it comes to farming itself as a general?
All right.
But because today we are talking about pesticides, we
Yes.
should ask ourselves: is the farmer knowledgeable about pesticides even before he goes to buy?
Of what they're going to buy, actually, even what they're going to use. Yes. Yes, because that's one of the challenges I personally as a farmer I faced, because sometimes you're told to go and buy something, but you've not been told why. So where is that the beginning of the disconnect? Sure. Misaro, where do you think? Is that the beginning of the disconnect between farmers and what they're buying and this campaign that we're talking about, safe use of chemicals?
I think the disconnect is that they are not, yes, as you've said, as a farmer,
Yes.
they're not told why. So I think farmers should be trained, and they're told why are you supposed to, why are you buying these, and they're explained and trained and supported on how to use the pesticides at the right time and at the right stage of the crop.
Yes.
Yeah, they should have that information. I think that is where they don't have that knowledge of why and how.
Who should do this? Who should train these farmers?
Who should train the farmers?
Yes.
It goes to both the government and the private sector, who are in agriculture.
But we've seen that most of the time that when we talk about training of farmers and all this, it is not taken very seriously. Like, for example, I'll mention, if I'm allowed to mention, the Big Four agenda in our country. One of the key agenda is food security. Yeah. So food security is a very big factor in government, national government. But you find that there's very little to do with the farmers themselves. There's a lot of policy making and all this, but it doesn't reach the farmers. There's nothing that I've seen that touches on training farmers, educating farmers. There's nothing that has been allocated to, especially even the county governments. The amount of money that they've allocated for agriculture is less than 5% probably. And in that 5%, whatever it is that they have not allocated anything for extension services. So what it does that it leaves farmers with at the mercy technically, but of the companies that are producing this, so that these companies can be able to actually come up with the labels, come up with the instructions. But you see, these companies do not have a budget for training farmers per se. Yeah. So do you think there's something that can be done differently? Just before we get in, because I think this is apart from being a responsibility on the part of farmers, I think it is also a responsibility and a policy issue that before farmers are able to buy something, they should at least be educated on it.
Very true.
Yes, and there's something, Evans, I want to just to bring you back to what you said about substances. And these substances are very interesting because we some time back when fall armyworm hit the country, I remember visiting some farmers in Western Kenya and Rift Valley, and they were using soap. They were using ash. So just help us define this. Is it that it is only the chemicals, or is it where do we begin with the safe use of pesticides?
I think this is a very wide topic that we'll need to break it down into so many subtopics. But maybe the first question, yeah, it's true that the farmers are using soap.
Yes.
There have been, and maybe we should ask ourselves, where does the farmer get this information from? And we should maybe ask which channels does the farmer use to get information. And number one, farmers are getting information from other farmers.
Yes.
This might be a good source of information.
Yes.
And on the other hand, a very bad source of information.
Not reliable.
Yes.
Yes.
Because the next farmer next to me might not have the facts and the figures.
Okay.
So whatever information he's giving me, it may be true or not true. But if we broaden that up, maybe I need to mention a few channels that the farmer can use to get information from that are tangible and trustworthy.
Yes.
And number one is the media.
Okay.
We are in the digital world, and there are many channels on TV, including this one.
Yes.
There are channels on radio that the farmer can use to get information. There are some channels and stations that are specifically meant for the farmer.
Yes.
They are farmer media stations.
Yes.
These are very good source of information that the farmer can use to get all the information that he requires. And these are one-on-one. He can even call and ask questions if he's not sure what he's getting. So I would advise farmers all over to always be stationed to this media and any other media that is able to give them information.
But how do farmers verify that this content is reliable, or rather credible, or unbiased?
Very true, very true. I think the government need to do a lot of regulations of our stations and media houses to make sure that, number one, the stations are not biased, and number two, they are up to date. Whatever they are giving information, they are giving is correct information. And I am sure if we have checks and balances, then our medias are professional, and they will not want to lead farmers astray if they want to remain doing this job.
Interesting.
And number two, farmers can get information from schools.
Okay.
The government, even though we are saying it's not doing enough, we have Gumbaru schools in Kenya. We want to call them farmer training institutes that are able to offer information. They have the right personnel to offer information to farmers. And once in a while, these institutions hold farmer field days.
Okay.
And in these farmer field days, different partners and companies are called to showcase their products, to showcase their seeds, to showcase what they are able to offer, the services that they are offering to farmers. And farmers are called. So I would call farmers to participate in these field days when they hear there is one around their locations, so that they can be able to learn and get more information. More importantly, today the government has introduced the 4K club in our system. And from a young age, our children will be able to learn tips and information about farming, so that when they grow up, I would wish to hear children saying, when I want to grow up, I want to be a farmer. Today, if a kid says that, everybody will laugh at them because we feel farming is not a good profession. But I'm looking forward for a day.
Because today is a career day for my kids. And they were told to dress up the way they want to. And none of them dress like a farmer. Actually, that's very interesting. Just continue, yes.
Yeah, so I was saying, I'm looking forward for that day when our kids will want and desire to be farmers in the future. And finally, last but not least, I'm working for a company, and companies do a lot of marketing for the products that they're selling. And part of this marketing is that we visit farms, we visit institutions, we do also our own field days, where we are able to call farmers and train them share, exchange information, and these are good avenues. These are good exchange programs that we have in Kenya, whereby farmer can learn from one another and learn from institutions, from the government, and get the information, especially what we are asking and discussing about today on pesticides.
Okay, very interesting. So one of the things that I wanted to ask, and that's a very good point that you've put across, it leaves farmers now with a responsibility for them to be able to produce safe and healthy food. Because most of the time we've talked about healthy food, but safe food, but it might be safe but not healthy. Or it might be healthy but not safe. For example, I was talking to the host of one of our shows, Agrititude 101, and she said that yes, you can grow very healthy food that is not safe. Miss Sarah, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yes, because she said you can grow very healthy sukuma wiki. Sukuma wiki is healthy, it's greens, vegetables. But it's full of chemicals, so that means it's not safe. So one of the things that I wanted to find out is that how easy, how accessible is the information on, for example, not accessible, but how easy is it to interpret some of the information that is out there? For example, something that is very interesting is the labels that we have on the what is it called, on the tins, on the pesticides. How easy is it to interpret this information? Bisaro, how easy is it to interpret this information? Do all farmers understand what this is, or is it what can be done for that to be made easy?
Okay, the farmer should first understand how to interpret the labels, because the labels actually, different labels have different meaning, because first of all, you can look at this. There are things that you can look at on the bottle to help you know how safe this is, how dangerous it is, how risky it is, because so that you can know at what time of the crop development you're supposed to apply it. So we start with the shape of the bottle. So the more sides that it has, the more risky it is.
Hey, now I've never known that. 14 years later.
Yeah.
We need to know more about
Hey,
that.
what?
The bottle shape is very important.
The shape of the bottle determines a lot.
Yeah. So the more shape that bottle has, the more risk it is, and we know that not the more risky, or the more risk it is, and we know the risk. I mean that the more it will the more it takes time for it to be utilized in the plant.
Interesting.
That means that you should apply such chemicals when the crop is at the early stage, so that you do not have the residues when you're harvesting.
Okay, interesting.
And then we also have the colors and the symbols.
Okay.
We have and these symbols, they can be able to tell you if it's poisonous, corrosive, is it flammable. We have different symbols. We have the symbols for like flammable. You can see a symbol of what's
interesting. So this is the level that we're talking about. Okay, I think you're referring to something there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
for those who are watching us, we will share some of these images in our page later on. So there's the one that is corrosive. There's one that is harmful. I mean, there's so many symbols down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking myself this question: whose responsibility is it? Because when I go to an agrovet and buy, they just ask me for which crop. They don't ask me and show me like, oh, by the way, you need to spray here. I've never been asked for 14 years whether I have a mask.
Yeah, I think these information should be shared to the farmers before they go to the agrovet, and it is a responsibility of all of us.
Yes,
it is a collective responsibility.
Okay.
If you are a farmer, you're supposed to be knowing.
How am I supposed to be knowing? I go out to grow sukuma wiki or watermelon. How should I know about the chemical composition and the danger?
Now, it's a good question.
Yes.
I've had such questions so many times. And I will also want to say this, that you should be interested in what you're doing.
Okay.
And the interest comes, you're telling me that you've been farming for the last 14 years.
Yes.
If you are in school for the last 14 years,
Yes.
let's say you're in a college or an institution for
Yes.
the last 14 years,
Yes.
I guess you're now supposed to be a doctor or a professor or something.
In-
14 years is so many years.
In fact, I'm about to graduate. Not that.
Yes.
In fact, if I started this game mapema,
Uh-huh.
my son would be in Form 2.
Yes. So probably you started with the wrong footing.
Exactly.
If you started with the right footing,
Mhm.
then all this information that we are sharing today, and not only for you, but all the farmers,
Yes.
they should have first-hand information about it.
About it, yes.
And as my sister was talking about
Yes.
the label,
Uh-huh.
maybe we need to go back a little bit
Okay.
and ask ourselves,
Uh-huh.
where are you buying that product from?
Uh-huh.
Because sometimes we are talking about Kenya,
Yes.
we have some funny characters who are also in the industry and have penetrated the industry,
Yes.
and they're also having their own products.
Yes.
So we need to ask ourselves and maybe move step by step and ask ourselves, what do we need to look for as a farmer when you're going to purchase a product?
Uh-huh.
And then if we get the right place to buy the product,
Yes.
then we will go down to now the product itself. And maybe I want to say this, farming products are sourced from shops called
Agrovets. Yes.
And an agrovet shop
Uh-huh.
is a shop that's supposed to be accredited,
Yes.
supposed to be licensed
Uh-huh.
by the regulations in Kenya
Yes.
to sell agro products, because these are chemicals.
Yes.
We've had people buying chemicals from agrovets and for the purpose of killing themselves.
Yes, exactly.
So we
yes.
should be careful.
Uh-huh.
And therefore, there are some regulations that the government has put
Yes.
for an agrovet shop to be licensed to do that business.
All right.
And I want to maybe say that number one,
Uh-huh.
farmers should purchase pesticides that are authorized to use in Kenya.
Interesting. That's a
To use in Kenya.
in Kenya,
Yes.
not produced in Kenya,
Not exactly produced in Kenya,
but for use.
but for use in Kenya.
Okay, interesting.
What does that mean? The government, through its own bodies, have put regulations. And these regulations include the amount of chemical, the percentage of chemical that a molecule is supposed to have. For example, let's say a molecule like, there's a molecule that was being used so many years back called DDT.
Yes, DDT. Yes,
DDT is no longer used in Kenya.
yes.
It should not be used. Actually, it is banned.
Why is it banned?
DDT was banned and other products
Yes.
because after trials and tests, it was found that it has bad effects, or rather, it has negative effects on the user, on the environment, on the person using the chemical, and the end user. If you eat food that has been sprayed on that chemical, it's going to affect you.
Now,
So-
let's pause there and ask this very interesting question. Why? Okay. So something that has been asked across during the pandemic is whether you've seen somebody, your neighbor or your friend who has got coronavirus. I want to ask this question: have you seen somebody who has been affected by excessive use of chemicals? Let's pause there.
Yeah.
We'll be taking a short break, and when we come back, we want to dive in deeper into something that we have heard from one of our guests, Evans, that you should only use chemicals that have been allowed for use in Kenya. We have heard of some incidences where we are told that there's some chemicals that have been banned, but they're being used in our neighboring countries, but we are importing food from our neighboring countries. So where is the disconnect? And one key message that has come out from this part of the show is that make sure that you buy pesticides from licensed agro dealers and specialized shops. Something interesting also is that we'll be talking about later on something called the PCPB website. We want to know what that is and all that. This is a Farmers Mid-Morning Show, a show that has been brought to you courtesy of Farmers Media in partnership with UNIDO and Markup, where it's an organization where Markup is actually teaming up with other organizations to make sure that they are able to help we as farmers to be able to grow healthy food, safe food, and regain our status in the global stage, especially in the EU and EAC market. So Markup is an organization called the Market Access Upgrade Program from United Nations Industrial Development Organization. So we'll be doing this frequently in the course of 1 year to be able to make sure that we as farmers can be able to grow healthy food and safe food by observing safe use of pesticide. We'll be coming back shortly. We take a short break.
Celery is a marshland plant that comes from the same family as carrots and parsley. It has long, firm and pale green fibrous stalks and grows in bunches of approximately 8 to 10 centimeters. The stalks taper into leaves at the top. When planting celery, it's best to ensure that the soil is enriched with compost and with a soil pH of between 5.8 to 6.8. It is also important for celery to grow in moisture-retentive soil. Lastly but not the least, select a site that receives full and direct sunlight. Celery needs about 130 to 140 days to mature between seedling and harvest. Growing celery is generally considered to be an ultimate vegetable gardening challenge. It's easy to grow, but has very specific needs.
Welcome back to a Farmers Mid-Morning Show. Your host Noah Nasiali Kadima, and today I'm joined by two guests, two experts in this industry of agriculture, and more importantly, how people who have been working with farmers directly and wanting to make sure that farmers are successful in their endeavors. But one of the things that we have had in the beginning of this show is that farmers need to educate themselves or get educated into how to use pesticides safely. One of the things that it helps with is reduce your cost of production, make sure that you are growing and producing healthy and safe food, and something else, you remain marketable not only locally but abroad. This particular show has been brought and in partnership with UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Authority Organization, and their sub-organization called MACAP, Market Access. And something very interesting about this campaign is that we want to talk to experts who will help us to understand so much more. This again is a farmers media where we help you connect, learn and grow. And the hashtag is Soma Label, yani Soma Label. We have these labels that come with the pesticides that we have. Do you read them as a farmer? Let us know in your comments, in the comment section, whether you read them. Are they too difficult for you to understand, or it is something that you can be able to read, understand and implement, so that we make sure that we are not only growing healthy food, but we are growing safe food. Evans,
Yes.
there's something that you mentioned during the break about Furidan.
Yes.
What is Furidan? What does it do? But before even getting into Furidan, something that is very critical and very interesting that I wanted us to touch on when you're talking about safe use is basically something to do with PHI. It is something that farmers, we're always told about PHI. What is PHI?
Thank you. PHI is a short form for pre-harvest interval.
Just move the mic a bit closer.
And pre-harvest interval,
Yes.
these are the number of days that you're supposed to wait after spraying a product before that product is harvested for consumption.
Okay. So just continue first.
Essentially,
Yes.
that means that, in the product label,
Yes.
all products registered in Kenya are supposed to have the PHI. For example,
Yes.
I have a product label with me
Yes.
that reads that the PHI
Yes.
for vegetables is 3 days.
3 days.
That means
Yes.
that if today is on Thursday
Yes.
and I'm spraying this product today,
Yes.
today being Thursday, I'm supposed to wait another 3 days before I harvest the product.
So 3 days after today,
3 days after today.
meaning if it is Thursday, you're spraying, so you wait Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So it is Monday when you should even enter that place you sprayed.
Not entering,
Yes, harvesting.
but harvesting for consumption.
What about the re-entry?
Re-entry period is supposed to be 1 day for
1 day.
all crops,
Okay.
unless we have special pesticides that will direct otherwise. Re-entry period is 1 day.
1 day.
That means that within a day, the chemical will have been dried up by the sun or wind, so that you can re-enter the farm and continue your practices. But PHI is
Yes.
strict for different crops.
Yes.
Different pesticides have different PHI days.
So now, for the purposes of our viewers, I have a product label here, and the product label specifically says pre-harvest interval PHI for tomato and French beans is 7 days.
Yes.
So if I'm spraying on Monday, I'm trying to make it easier for our farmers. If I'm spraying on Monday, I have to wait for 7 days for me to harvest again.
Exactly.
So that means I basically harvest on the 9th day. Today, 7 plus the next. So today until harvest is 9 days.
Including today, yes, 9 days.
9 days.
Yes.
What happens now because I want us to bring ourselves into the into reality. You know, there's reality versus expectation. So reality, I am harvesting my tomatoes. In the next, I have to harvest every week twice.
Yes.
What should I do then?
This is a very good discussion, and I'll first want to go a little bit back, some years back. I was working for an export company.
All right.
Primarily, we were doing export French beans.
All right.
And for export farmers,
Yes.
PHI is very essential. Why is it essential? Because when we harvest products in Kenya, the first thing after they enter the country of consumption,
Yes.
let's say UK market,
Yes.
a sample of the product is taken to the lab for testing. And one of the things they test
Yes.
is the presence of pests, because let's say, for example, we are talking about French beans.
Yes.
Sometimes some insects launch into the pod.
Pods.
So one of the things they look for is the presence, actual presence of insects. And number two, they test for presence of chemicals. These are lab tests. And if they find traces of
Yes.
chemical, then the product is recalled back, or you have to pay for it to be kutupwa.
Kutupwa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It cannot be consumed if it has traces of.
So the whole
Product.
container is removed.
Yes, at your expense.
That is the exporter's expense.
Yes. So normally,
So that is what is.
to answer the question now directly,
Yes.
different products,
Yes.
or rather molecules,
Yes.
have different PHI days. For example, if you have just planted your tomatoes,
Yes.
it is allowed to use products with a longer PHI.
Okay.
Why? Because the crop will be in the field for long.
For long. Okay.
We have products with 21 days, 30 days PHI. Those are very safe to use when the crop is young.
Okay.
But as the crop approaches harvesting,
Yes.
the farmer should be very careful on the product he's using in terms of PHI numbers.
Yes.
Because you don't want to use a product that will have residue levels of the chemical,
That is the famous MRL.
the MRLs.
Yes.
And this is what the export market normally tests.
Okay.
The MRL should be equivalent to analytical 0 when the product is in the market. That means that it should have no chemical residues,
At all, whether good or bad.
good or bad.
Okay.
Now, if the product is safe,
Yes.
it means that you have observed the PHI numbers. When the producers of products are doing the test,
Yes.
they ensure that the PHI numbers they give, if they say 7 days, after 7 days when you test the product, it will be very safe with no residues.
Yes.
That's why farmers should actually observe the PHI correctly.
Okay. Very interesting. So let me find out something that is that I know that viewers will be asking is, how do you determine that before you start producing? Is it something, actually let me rephrase my question, is this something that farmers should look at before starting production, or what? Because I mean, you have to know that which pest will attack your crop, so that you don't start spraying a harmful chemical when you're harvesting. You know, is there a calendar, a crop, like a spray program that farmers should be getting, so that it makes them easy? Just let me know. Give us a reply to that.
Now, a spray calendar would be very important, and chemical companies normally have these spray calendars that they have for different crops. But essentially, a farmer should also be knowledgeable with time about which products to use at different stages. And it is important to note that if you are talking of an insect like caterpillar, there are products with a longer PHI for caterpillar
Okay.
and products with shorter PHIs for caterpillar.
Okay.
For example, we have organic products.
Yes.
One of them is made from neem tree. In Kiswahili it's called mwarobaini.
Yes. Yes.
Neem tree is an extract of the mwarobaini, which is safe
Yes.
for consumption.
Yes.
Now, such products have either 1 or 0 PHI. They are also able to act on the insects.
So you mean that when you say 0 PHI, it means you can spray today and harvest today and eat?
Yes, but it is not a safe practice to do that.
Okay.
If you know you're going to harvest today, you should spray yesterday.
Now that we are talking about French beans, because one of the things that has been brought across, especially from this campaign, is the fact that our produce, both French beans, snow peas, and even chilies, have been banned in the EU market, and because of for us not following the regulations. What happens to farmers? Is it that they don't know? Is it that the exporters don't know? Or is it that the brokers come in between there?
There are quite a number of factors
Yes.
that contribute to this. And number one is that there are so many products in the market today.
Okay.
And I won't mention countries, but farmers have been even sourcing for products outside the country to use in Kenya.
Yes.
Because number one, our products are expensive. And number two, the products in Kenya are safe. What does that mean? If you are controlling white flies
Yes.
with a product with a 1-day PHI, it means that the levels of the molecule,
Yes.
the percentage, has
Yes.
been reduced so that it can be safe for the consumer.
Yes.
And the farmer would want to spray a product and see the insects die instantly.
Very true. Very true. Most
Now, that's a challenge.
Yes.
Because, yes, you can use a product with a longer PHI, with a concentrated molecule, and kill the insect. But remember, tomorrow, that product will be consumed in the market.
Oh, yes.
So that's the question the farmer should ask. Am I doing this to get more money and kill my customers? Or should I use a safe product?
So at that time, when the farmer is selling before the day that they're supposed to be selling, is normally looking at their pockets, not even their stomach, because if the stomach, they would be doing healthy food.
Yes.
Only talking about looking at their
The
pockets.
pocket.
So what should the practice be? What can you tell farmers when it comes to a scenario? Because I have been in the same scenario. I remember, the time we were growing French beans, and a broker comes in between and says, "You can sell to me this." It takes a lot of integrity on the part of the farmer to say, "No, I sprayed yesterday. My exporter will buy in the next 2 days." What can you tell farmers to go around that? Because because of that, selling in between, what has happened is that we have actually lost a lot of market. Apart from the effect of corona on export, what can you advise farmers on that?
The discussion that we are having is very relevant, both to the farmers and consumers. And when I was working in the export industry, vis-a-vis now, Kenya has lost a lot of market, a big market, because most of our products have been banned in UK because of overuse of pesticides. And it is important that the farmer should get first-hand information from the beginning, because as you said, it is safe to use products with longer PHI when the crop is still in early stages.
Yes.
These are products that can effectively kill insects or destroy a big percentage of insects because they have a knockdown effect. Now, we earlier had discussed about the label and say that different labels come with different colors to indicate how toxic the product is.
Yes.
And There are labels that
Yes.
have red color.
Uh-huh.
If you look at a label, just on the margin of the label,
Yes.
every label has a color. And that's a requirement of the government.
Okay.
Now, if you find a label with red color, it means that that product is very toxic. It is highly toxic. And I can tell you for sure, the PHI will be more than 7. It goes up to 30 days because that's a toxic product. There's no way the
Yes.
PHI will be 2-3 days
Yes.
if the product is toxic. Number 2, we have products with a yellow color.
Yes.
It also means that the product is dangerous for use.
Okay.
Red color and yellow color, those are dangerous signs.
Okay.
It is either dangerous or
Yes.
highly toxic.
Yes.
We have a third color,
Yes.
which is blue.
Yes. I've seen
Blue
those.
means that the product is moderately toxic.
It is still toxic,
It is still toxic,
but moderate.
but it's moderate.
So you're talking about now 7 days PHI.
Yeah, we are talking about 7 days,
Yes.
5 days PHI. So it is a little bit safe, but you also need to be careful. And finally, we have labels with green color.
Okay.
This means that the product is slightly toxic.
Okay.
Why are we calling all of them toxic? Because these are chemicals. They are not supposed to be ingested.
See ice cream.
Yes. We are not supposed to ingest any chemical.
Okay.
So that's why all of them are toxic to the environment and to the human beings. But pesticides pesticide with green color are kind of friendly for use. And these will find with a PHI of 1 to 3 days.
Okay.
Yes. So the farmer should know
The labels.
the labels and use product with a longer PHI when the crop is still early in the stage. So that when you are about to enter the market, if the product is supposed to be sold this week,
Yes.
you have already done away with chemicals with a longer PHI and you have protected your crop safely, so that when you're harvesting, the percentage of infestation of pests
Yes.
is very little.
Very interesting. Very interesting. You as a farmer, if you're watching us, let us know what you're thinking. What your thoughts are. We've heard about the labels, the red, yellow, blue, and green labels. How toxic they are. What it indicates in terms of the toxicity levels. Something that we are actually getting into. It's called the Soma Label campaign. That is now hashtag Soma Label. If you're following us, remember to continue listening to us, and as we are diving in deeper now and getting to understand. We have seen what safe use of pesticide, what it means, what are pesticides, what are the substances that make these pesticides, what we should do, and we have seen how long should we look at this. But as Evans has just mentioned, is that the labels, the red and yellow, means toxicity levels are high. We've heard about the blue ones that are also moderately toxic, and then we have the green one that is less, but it is still toxic. But so you have to observe the same simple things of making sure that you are reading the label. So the label that comes with your pack. So if you are buying any products today from the agrovets, make sure first of all, as we have said earlier, make sure that you are aware of where you're actually buying your products from. Look at something simple. Look at this agrovet, this agro dealer. Is this certified? There are those ones that if you are in some parts of Kenya, from where we are in County 034, and our neighboring country from here, we actually call and say, I think madawa za huko zinafanya vizuri. So let us find out. Even if they work well, observe the PHI levels. There's something that we want to get into in a short while called the PCPB. But before we go there, remember that this campaign is being brought to you by a Farmers Media in partnership with Market Access Upgrade Program, program that is supported by United Nations Industrial Development Organization, where we want to raise the awareness of safe use of pesticides. We do not say do not use. We do not say that you have to go organic. Remember, organic is not the alternative to avoiding pests. It is basically getting to know how to use what pesticides? Well, with basic information from the labels that accompany. You know, these companies are not they don't waste time, because this is to print labels like this is not cheap.
Yeah, it's expensive, but it is a requirement.
It is a requirement, yes, but that means that it's like buying a television and going through the manual. So you have to look at the manual before you and put it down. Yeah,
very true.
And do you think that if farmers, especially the farm workers, if they are educated on this, do you think that would prove a big difference, Ms. Harrow?
Yeah, it will.
What difference do you think it would bring?
I think it will bring a difference because sometimes.
Just move closer to the mic.
I would say it will bring a difference because sometimes these farmers, they misuse or they neglect safe use of chemicals because they don't know, because they're not informed. Now, if they get to be informed, we'll have more people. Not everybody, of course. We'll always have the let me say naughty people with us. Yes,
so you're calling farmers naughty.
we'll always have those people, those characters, you know. But if more people are educated on this and they actually know what they are doing, like by misuse or by not understanding how to use chemicals, not understanding the PHI, because I know most farmers, they don't understand these things. But if we have more who know these things, we'll have more people using chemicals safely.
So is it that they don't know these things, or they don't want to know? You know, the two things.
I will say
yes.
Some don't want to know because if you're a farmer, or if you're into something, you have to understand how to use it. You have to understand what it entails. If you're doing farming,
its dangers.
If you're doing farming, you have to be up to date on farming practices. You have to attend seminars, as Ivan said. You have to be doing these things because you cannot just do things blindly. If you're farming, sometimes you have to, before you even start crop production, you will at least know what to expect, because pesticides, they're only not used to just to cure. You can use pesticide to prevent or to kill or to control and eradicate. So if they are educated and they know that pesticides can be used in a preventative kind of method, then we'll not have residues in our harvested food.
Very interesting. Thank you very much for that. Something that is now ringing in my mind is basically the fact that all this information is already available. It is just farmers to consume it. Chakula imewekwa kwa meza. But now you have to ask yourself, is this food safe?
Very true.
Yes.
The label is very important, and it has so much information. A lot of information.
Yes.
Actually, all the information that a farmer requires
is on the label.
Even
the active ingredient.
From the active ingredient.
Yes.
To what the chemical acts on. To the mode of action of the product.
Yes.
If this product is safe. If this product is expired. It has information on how to use it. It has information on the safety of the user.
Yes.
It has information on how to dispose the remaining product. So much information is on the label, including is it safe for the environment?
Very interesting.
Because if you have a crop that is at flowering stage, then you need bees. So you need to ask yourself, is the product I'm using safe for the environment? Is it going to kill bees? Is it going, if I dispose the remaining in my pod, and my pod has fish, is it safe for the fish? All that information is on the label. Probably we need to break down a few things about the label so that the farmer can know that he always have this information with him. It's only that he doesn't read, or maybe he doesn't know how to read. But more importantly, the government has made it a requirement that all the labels in Kenya are in English and Kiswahili.
Yes, and that's what I was coming to. And I'm seeing that it has everything. You know, the labels have the general information about what it is and all that. It has basically the crop tolerance as well. It has even how to mix, the mixing. It shows how to shake the product, the container. It has the application rate. It has the application rate for the different crops, that is there. We will be sharing some of these images for you who are watching us. Again, it has the re-entry level interval that we had mentioned. It has the hazards, warnings, and precautions as well. So meaning that all the information is available. It is for us to actually remove the label. I've seen some of the products, even the containers have been discarded. Some of them have been even thrown away without the label having been removed. Meaning, again, they didn't read. Definitely. Very interesting. So now, as we get in and deeper, so as you're watching us, let us know where you're watching us from first. Let us know also something very interesting. What do you think about the safe use of chemicals? What have you done? What have you practiced? From next week, we'll be having some goodies that we'll be giving to you if we actually see that you are practicing safe use of pesticides. Something that we are campaigning is to make sure that you SOMA label, hashtag SOMA label. Make sure that the labels that have come with the products that you're buying, make sure that you are actually reading to get all that information. It is information that is right for you as a farmer, because you are investing your money. You do not want to produce vegetables that you cannot eat yourself. So something very interestingly that is coming out from this campaign: check the label to ensure it has a valid entry expiry date,
yes,
and a batch number. Ensure the label is clearly visible and intact, and always follow the label instructions on usage, safety, and handling pesticide. Evans,
yes,
nataka kuingia kwa siasa kidogo, siasa ya ukulima, si siasa ingine. Now, how long does a product remain after the expiry date that it can be used on the farm?
Very good question. All products in Kenya are supposed to be used for 2 years from the manufacture date.
So we switch back, instead of expiry, we look at manufacture date.
Yes, manufacture date. So the labels will have the manufacture date and an expiry date 2 years after that. From the manufacture date.
So if it was manufactured on 1st August 2021, 1st August 2023, it has expired.
No. It doesn't mean that it has expired.
Yes.
But that's the requirement.
Okay. Can it still be used?
Usually after 2 years,
yes,
the company should recall products that have not been used. Tests are done to ascertain if the product is safe for use,
yes,
and it is able to, it is still
health safe,
good enough for the intended purpose. Now, two things come in mind.
Yes.
If this product was not stored the correct way,
okay,
probably it was stored in a place where there's direct sunlight.
Yes.
It means that it has degraded. So it may not be used.
Yes.
It may not be as the same way it was when it left the manufacturer. Now, these are tests that a company does.
Yes.
If the product is found safe,
yes,
it can be taken back to the market with a new label, with a new expiry.
Very interesting.
If the product is not safe,
it is destroyed.
It is destroyed.
Very interesting. So now, that is something that has been very critical. So, as we're talking about SOMA label, one of the key points that is coming out especially is the validity of the manufacturing date. And then you count 2 years after that.
Yes.
So you as a farmer, if you are watching us, if you are buying pesticide, make sure that you look for, when you're buying the pesticide, make sure you actually see the manufacturing date. Then make a judgment, and if you're not going to use that product on that day, make sure the manufacturing date is closer to the date that you're buying the product, so that at least you have 2 years to use it. Okay?
Yes. And we also need to mention that for the product to be recalled, it has to be in the original container and unopened. So if a farmer buys a product, uses it for more than 2 years,
Yes.
and probably he has not finished it,
Yes.
he cannot take it back to the shop to
Okay.
be returned.
Very interesting.
So that means that a farmer should know the quantities that he is using, and he should buy enough quantities
For that use.
for the use.
Very interesting. So that also now touches directly on the cost of production of a farmer, because you don't want to buy pesticides so many pesticides now, and you're not going to use because your cost will be high. Something else that I would like to ask: what is the role of scouting in all this discussion? And then something else that most people have taken it to mean organic, integrated pest management. So first of all, probably, what is the role of scouting? Probably, Ms. Sarah, you can touch on that.
Okay, the role of scouting. Scouting is very important for every farmer, organic and regular farmers.
Okay.
It's very important for them. And the role of scouting is to enable you to understand your crops and their environment, meaning
Yes.
like sanitation is well done. The cultural practices are well done. It's well weeded, and the level of pests that are there,
Yes.
they are within the economic level, economic threshold level, because sometimes so that you can monitor them, so that they cannot be too much.
Yes.
Because if they become too much, and actually studies shows that 20 to 40% of crops are lost to pests. So you really need to do scouting in order to just be aware of your crop and the environment in regards to how clean the environment is, and then the population of the pests that you have there, and to also make sure you can also scout after spraying to make sure to make sure that whatever that you used has worked or has not worked.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically the role of scouting.
Okay. So you've scouted.
Yeah.
You've scouted. You've made sure that you've put down the records and all that. Yeah. So the scouting, basically, if you break it down, is it helps a farmer know when to spray. We have these chemicals that pests that we've been told you spray after every 7 days. Do you have to spray after every 7 days, or do you have to ever?
That's an interesting question.
Yes.
Because yes, the chemical companies will tell you spray after 7 days.
Yes.
But when we are talking about scouting, you don't necessarily have to spray after every scouting. Because when you're doing scouting,
Yes.
there's something we call the threshold levels
Say it in English.
of an insect.
Say it in English for farmers to understand.
Okay. Let's say I have my beans crop,
Yes.
and I'll be doing scouting today. And after scouting, when I do scouting moving around my block, I find 2 grasshoppers only, and no any other insect.
Okay.
I don't need to get a pesticide to destroy these 2
Two
grasshoppers.
grasshoppers, yes.
I can just kill them mechanically using my hand,
Or even chase them away.
or chase them.
Yes.
But if you chase them, they'll come back and they have multiplied.
Yes.
So sometimes
Yeah.
after scouting, okay, threshold level is the number of insects that you find in a scouting position.
Okay.
I may have 10 scouting position in my 1 acre block.
Ah.
And in every scouting position,
Yes.
I find maybe whiteflies or thrips. There are at least, in every crop,
Yes.
there are thrips.
Yeah.
In every station, there are thrips. In all the blocks, in all my block,
Yes.
all stations have thrips.
Yes.
That means the infestation of thrips is very high. At that level, I need to do an intervention.
Okay.
But if I find I have only found 1 position
Yes.
with thrips, and I had 10 scouting
Positions. Yes.
I may ask myself, how can I work on this 1 position? And that brings about what you are calling integrated pest management. I may not need to do a chemical control for that.
Yes.
Because probably in this one position, there is a host crop for thrips.
Okay.
I am planting beans.
Yes.
And probably there is another weed that is very attractive
Yes.
to this pest.
Yes.
So I have found the thrips because there is this weed, which is a host for
Okay.
pest. So if I destroy this weed,
Yes.
probably it means I have destroyed the pest.
The pest. Ah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So the scouting should give us a go ahead to use an intervention, or we may be safe.
So scouting helps you justify your spray.
Very true.
So we want to take another short break, but when we come back, we want to talk about IPM, Integrated Pest Management, what it is and all that. Again, for those who are watching us, thank you for watching us. This is the Farmers Media. This is your mid-morning show, a show that has been, we are partnering with Markup, which is Market Access Upgrade Program, which is a program within United Nations Industrial Development Organization. And this campaign is how to use pesticides safely. Let us know where you're watching us from. Let us know how many times you're told to spray your tomatoes or your capsicum or your French beans. How long? I know sometimes we've been told to spray after every 7 days. I make sure that I scout first before spraying. And because of that, there's some things that we can be able to use. We call them traps. We have yellow and blue traps. We have things that help us be able to detect how the infestation, it actually gives us the rate of infestation of certain pests. Remember to follow us on our YouTube channel as well as our social media handles. You can also call us on 0700 29 30 31 and 0700 29 59 59, so that you can be able to get more information. We are taking a short break, and when we come back, we talk about integrated pest management.
And the hashtag is Soma Label.
Oh, yes, I'd forgotten that.
Beetroot is a highly nutritious root vegetable. The beetroot is the taproot portion of a beet plant. It is one of the many varieties of the genus Beta vulgaris, all of which are mostly grown for their edible taproots and leaves. Beetroot is a root crop that takes approximately 3 to 4 months to mature. Beetroot is a fairly easy crop to grow as long as the soil is well cultivated prior to planting. Beetroots do not enjoy wet, boggy or shady soils. Beetroot can be sown in trays and transplanted when the seedlings have 2 true leaves. Plant in full sun, space seedlings 10 to 15 centimeters apart, and rows 20 centimeters to 30 centimeters apart so they have room to grow. Beetroots are also ideal for containers or raised beds. Beetroots will happily thrive in small areas as long as there is at least 20 centimeters depth of soil. Beetroot has been used not only for food but also for treatment for numerous conditions.
Farmers Mid-Morning Show, your host Noah Nasiali Kadima, together with my guests Evans and Bisaro Chwea. One of the things that we have really loved to talk about today was something very interesting in terms of Soma label. This hashtag is Soma label, which we're discussing, and we're bringing this program and this particular campaign in partnership with Market Access Upgrade Program, which is a program within United Nations Industrial Development Organization, where we want to sensitize you as farmers to be able to grow not only healthy food but safe food. But it starts with you and me as farmers, making sure that we are using the tools that we have been put there under the regulations of the government, in terms of the labels that have been put in the pesticides that we buy, in the fertilizers that we buy, in other things like the what is it called, the sprays that we are buying. Anything that we are buying from the agrovets, we have to make sure that we are understanding some of the basic things. We are making use of the information that is out there. And before we went for a break, we were talking about something about integrated pest management. What is integrated pest management, Evans? And how do farmers use this? Yes. And then something else that has come from the comment section is something very interesting. Can you grow organic food using hybrid seeds? That one is a discussion for another day. But let's go first to IPM, or even before IPM. There's something that you mentioned that I wanted us to go deeper in. This molecule called Furidan. How does it work? Because it would be really nice for us to really tell farmers and educate farmers on what is the effect of such chemicals. How does it work? And something interesting is, let us know the effect.
Thank you. I would not want to really talk much about Furidan.
Yes.
Because number one, it is banned in Kenya. It's supposed not to be used at all. But maybe we need to know the effects of such banned products in Kenya. And it is said, it is documented that Furidan was widely used in Kenya.
Yes.
And one of the uses was to coat seeds before planting as a seed dresser.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And it has been documented that if a mother who is suckling a child eats maize or maize flour that was coated with Furidan,
the seed was coated with Furidan
100 days earlier before it was planted, that milk she's secreting, if it is taken to a lab test, traces of Furidan will be found. So that's how bad Furidan was.
So that's how dangerous and how important we are the importance of what we're talking about.
Yes.
So 100 days before planting, and then if maize takes, let's assume 5 months because of drying, so that is that comes to what? Misaro, you're the one who came from school just the other day. That means 100 days.
3 months.
Not even 3 months.
More than 3
Actually,
months.
7 months.
Yeah.
100 days.
Because when you plant that seed, that means it will take another 150 days for you to be able.
6.
Yes.
Yes.
So that is the importance of this campaign that we're actually talking. The awareness, it should actually more of an awareness and not being scared.
Very true.
Integrated pest management. How easy is it?
Now, maybe we first need to define what is integrated pest management.
Yes.
And I would say that there are so many definitions that I would narrow down to one.
Yes.
That integrated pest management is an effective and environmentally sensitive approach to pest management, which relies on a combination of many practices that will give results.
Okay.
Important words is that it's an effective and environmentally friendly approach to control pests.
So is this a matter, because that is a question that farmers keep on asking themselves, and I know there's a farmer who asked me one day, he told me actually that he's using traps so he doesn't need to spray. So is that reality, or what does IPM? So does IPM? So let me try and define it as from a farmer's perspective. So IPM is basically it gives you an indication of the infection rates, or is it that it helps you control but not what? I don't want to use the word kill, to control pests.
It is a combination of approaches.
Okay.
But these approaches should be from using the safest until rather you start with what is safe for you
Okay.
and what is cheap for you and what is readily available for you. If that doesn't work for you, then you go to the next step, to the next step. The last step normally is chemical control. So which are other these steps that
Yes.
we're talking about?
Yes.
Number one is cultural methods, and my sister maybe will talk on that. Number two
Yes.
is mechanical or physical methods
Okay.
of control. And number three is biological control. And finally, number four is the chemical control, that is use of pesticides.
Okay, interesting. So let's start again. Start again, because for our viewers watching us, some of these things are not as easy as we want them to be. And so say there are 4 steps. The
Yes.
first step is what?
Cultural.
Cultural.
Yes.
Using ash.
That is not really.
What-
Cultural is how our farmers have been doing many years back, 20, 50 years back.
What is
How
that?
are they controlling insects? We didn't have chemicals. So, are there a way they were using?
Hey, hapo mtanielimisha
One of
kidogo.
them is easy, crop rotation.
That's a very interesting way. So just crop rotation. When you planted maize here, you play next you plant something else, you rotate. So that is just number one. Second is what?
Okay, cultural practices includes contour planting,
Conservation agriculture.
conservation agriculture, as we said, anything that is basically doesn't have to be scientific, but is effective.
Nothing that has gone into the lab.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you are planting sukuma wiki today,
Yes.
and you want to plant something else in the same field, we've been told that you're not supposed to plant anything that is in the same class.
The
with
Brassica
sukuma
family,
wiki,
yes.
The Brassica family.
Yes.
So that's a way of controlling insects, a very safe way.
Okay.
And it lies now on the cultural method of
Okay.
pest control.
And cultural also, just from the word culture,
Yes.
is what you do in your farm. Like now in this integrated pest management, cultural means the best cultures in farming, which includes selecting the best variety, selecting best variety according to your soil, whatever area you are from.
Yes.
Selecting variety which are resistant, and just the culture.
Basically, good agricultural practices at the bare minimum.
Weeding, pruning, and all those
Cover
things.
crops, things like
Yeah.
that. Interesting. Okay. And the
Irrigation.
okay.
Yeah.
The second factor that you mentioned.
Before we go to second factor,
Yes.
she mentioned selecting the right variety.
Yes.
Maybe we'll need a session for that.
Yes. I think at the end of the I think we're opening a can of worms. So it's not just about pesticides. It goes down into so much, because when you have the right because that's something very very important that you've raised, Misaro. If you use the right variety, it means you will use less chemicals, because it is a variety that is adaptable to that area. Yes. If you use cover crops, then you don't need to spray glyphosate. You don't need to do herbicide. If you are doing crop rotation, it means there'll be less pests. If it is in a place where you planted watermelons, it means that if you rotate any pest, melon fly that was there, it runs away.
Yes.
If you have bees, it means pollination will be happening better, faster, and your fruits will be better, actually. Very interesting. So that is the whole discussion again. Wow. I like this. Okay, what about the second part?
The second step is mechanical or physical.
Okay.
And this partly means that if you have weeds in your farm, you can uproot the weeds. You don't need to use a herbicide.
Okay.
It is safer.
So you that is what? The second part is?
Mechanical or physical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
And as the word says, these are physical activities that we do
Yes.
to both control insect pests
Uh-huh.
in our fields.
Okay. What are some of these ways that we do this?
Well, when it comes to physical and mechanical,
Yes.
that's now where the physical from the word physically.
Yes.
You can physically remove the pest. When like Evans has said, when you're doing scouting, if you find
Grasshoppers.
What are you
Yes.
supposed to do?
Pinch them.
You can just kill them.
Kill is a very strong word.
Yeah, with your hands.
You will pluck them from that area.
Yeah, or with your foot, or with just remove it.
If it is harmful.
Yeah, if you find like one crop has been affected,
Yes.
it has so many aphids.
You
just
uproot.
one.
You uproot it.
Yeah, you get away with that. If and that's where also traps come. The traps are going to attract. The blue is going to attract the pest. So that is physically removing the pest from the crop.
Okay.
So they all go to the trap.
Very interesting. What about the third one?
Before we go to the third one,
Yes.
physical control of pests is very effective for diseases in our crops. If you do a scouting and find a crop in your tomato crop,
Yes.
we have a few crops that have been affected by maybe a fungal infection
Yeah.
or even a bacterial infection. You physically remove that plant and go and decompose it. So this is very effective
Okay.
in stopping spread of diseases in our fields.
Very interesting. So there's so much than just pest spraying.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the third one?
Number 3, we talked of biological control,
Yes.
and this is the use of other living organisms to control insects.
Okay. Interesting. I've seen the some people use these insects, but they're very expensive.
Yeah, they are very expensive.
Yeah, it is an expensive venture
Yes.
because it means that you have to multiply the organisms.
You have to first of all import them. Some I don't know.
Yeah.
Or catch them.
For example, you can use a bacteria. You can import a bacteria,
Yes.
multiply it, and then you have enough of it, then release it to the field.
Wow.
You can multiply insects that are beneficial insects. For example, we have ladybirds.
Yes.
We have been told that they are beneficial, which is true. So you need first to multiply them and make sure that you have enough ladybirds.
Okay.
And then you release them into your field so that they can eat the non-beneficial insects.
Wow. Is that possible for a smallholder farmer? Is it economical viable? Or it's a long-term thing? You say you'll do this for the next 20 years.
I think we are going there. We
Yeah.
need time.
Yes.
We are a small economy.
Yes.
But it has proved to be effective.
Yes.
Especially, I'll give an example. When we had this grasshopper menace, I was told in China they used butter.
Yes.
Yeah, they released millions of them.
The ducks.
The ducks, yes.
Yes.
To go and eat the grasshoppers.
They finished all the
That's
grasshoppers.
a very good biological control.
And the ducks grew fat.
Yes.
What about the fourth one? I know time is against us. What about the fourth one?
The fourth one and the least to be used.
Yes.
When the farmer is deciding which method to use.
Yes.
The last one is chemical control. It should be the last option after trying the first 3.
So what you should, so for this thing, that is why when you're buying some pesticide, it says with good agricultural practices observed, then you can, it actually helps you determine even the yield.
Yes.
If your farm is clean, then you can be able to have less pests. If you have done proper weeding or your irrigation method, as you mentioned, or other basic things like, for example, land preparation.
Including land preparation, yes. I just wanted to mention that.
Yes, very interesting.
If you do good land preparation,
Yes.
that gives you a 30% expected production. Just land preparation.
Only?
You are sure of 30%.
That is the beginning.
Yes.
Very
That is
interesting.
the foundation. Nasikianga wanasema foundation ya mtoto ni mzuri ya shule. Every foundation ya kila kitu ni mzuri, hata ya nyumba.
Sasa mpaka ya shamba sasa.
Mpaka ya shamba.
Hata shamba sasa.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the same thing, that the same logic
Yes.
unatumia tu.
The foundation is most
Foundation
important.
is most important in everything.
Very interesting, very interesting. Anyway, thank you very much for having been here, Evans and Misaro. Remember that today is being Thursday. We continue having a very special program that has been brought to you all the way from Farmer Studios. And this is Agritude 101 Weekly, which will be coming later on in the day with our host, Patricia Lagat, who will be joining us, who will be coming in later on. Evans, thank you very much. Your last words for today. We have just opened this discussion. What are your last words for today, especially talking to farmers directly?
Thank you very much for hosting me, and I expect more of these sessions. And to our farmers, we need food,
Yes.
and we can only get food from you guys. So we want to encourage you as you produce food.
Yes.
Please make sure that the food is safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Misaro, last words.
It has been a nice discussion. Evans, thank you so much for coming. We've learned a lot from you today. And for our viewers, please, we'll be continuing with this safe use of pesticide. It's a series, and we're expecting that our first video on this is going to be on YouTube before the end of this week. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on our social media. It's a wide discussion, and safety in use of pesticide, it's something that we are all responsible for, from farmers and consumers. So let's all partner in making sure that we spread this awareness to our producers, so that we can have healthy and safe food.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Those who've been watching us, thank you very much for having been joining us today. We are grateful that we have you as a farmer. Our work here from a Farmers Media is to make sure that we connect with one another, learn from one another, learn from the experts like those who have in the studio today, and more importantly, to grow both in profits but also in health. This again, as we continue, our hashtag for the remaining part of this month and moving forward will be hashtag Soma Lebo. Soma Lebo. Make sure that when you buy pesticide, when you buy foliar fertilizers, una Soma Lebo. A program that has been brought to you in partnership with the United Nations Industrial Development Organization under their program MACAP, that is Market Access Upgrade Program, which wants to make sure that we are raising the awareness of how we can be able to use pesticides safely to grow healthy and safe food. Thank you very much for watching us. We want to thank our production team with our super producers, Sarah Wanjiku, and the rest of the team who have made sure that this has been a success. We want to thank you. And more importantly, we want to ask you to stay safe. Coronavirus is still going on. Make sure that you analyze your circumstances and see if it is within your wish. Please go out and get vaccinated. Continue being safe so that we can continue growing food, healthy and safe for our fellow countrymen. Thank you. This is your host, Noah Nasali Kadima. Till next time.